I catch myself when I'm in conversation with them, like regressing on the progress I made when I was in college.
That's right. It's bound to happen.
It's because I can feel my speech getting lazy.
The costumes were all for people who were like only 5'8", and I'm obviously like 6 foot, Like you can't do that. So sometimes it's easy like that. Other times, they just needed you. And like there's just no purpose behind
Coverage you can count on. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 11 in HD.
Polls have closed. It's after 7.
1 minute past 7.
Mike, check that. Oh. Hold on. Mike, check.
If you have like a jacket over it, if that will break it up enough.
That's what I was wondering. Oh, I'll check it. I'll get one. That's why I brought it in. I liked it so much I didn't care if it did. I'll just wear it with blue jeans.
With coverage you can count on. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 11 in HD.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Glover.
And I'm Cindy Sexton. Tennessee voters rushed to the polls this evening. It was their last chance to vote early.
The big turnout caused long lines, parking problems, and heavy traffic here in Chattanooga. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Sarah Sidry tells us how polling places handled tonight's crowd. Sarah.
Greg, the polling sites were busy up to the very last minute. Voters were being turned away after the polls had closed.
Polls have closed. It's after 7.
1 minute past 7 was too late to cast a ballot Thursday on the final night of early voting in Tennessee.
But I can't let her in tonight. That's the law.
Poll workers at the Hamilton County Election Commission were having to turn people away just minutes after polls closed.
A little bit disappointed, but looking at all the lines that's been in here for the past week, I'm hoping that Tuesday I'll just run right through.
Up until 7 o'clock, the line to vote was wrapped around the building.
I know Tuesday's going to be crazier than it is right now, but I wasn't expecting this crazy.
The parking lot ran out of space during the after-work rush, forcing drivers to park in the grass. Voters waited patiently outside, while poll workers inside kept the lines moving.
Stayed in line about 45 minutes. It wasn't too bad.
I just didn't expect there to be this many people out here.
Everybody was like, oh my gosh, it's such a long line, but it was probably only 30 minutes.
Some voters expected to wait much longer and were pleased to leave in less than an hour. Crowds on election night could be even bigger.
Waiting times are going to be off the charts that day. And so I was just terrified with my work schedule that it's like I didn't want to take a chance of not being able to fit it in.
Overall, more than 1.5 million people early or absentee voted statewide, and that includes nearly 74,000 people here in Hamilton County. Georgia voters can vote early through tomorrow. In the studio, Sarah Sidery, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Sarah, thank you. Speaking of Georgia, new poll numbers show Donald Trump is running strong in some red states, but the Peach State in particular is in danger of going blue.
Trump and Hillary Clinton have been blitzing the battleground map tonight with some high-powered help. NBC's Brian Moore has the latest for us from Washington.
Joined by music star Pharrell and Bernie Sanders in North Carolina, Hillary Clinton asked young and African-American voters, what can Donald Trump do for you?
He has said that he thinks the lives of Black people are all crime and poverty and despair. He has no idea.
A few dozen miles away, surrounded by Medal of Honor recipients, Trump went after Clinton on leadership.
Under the failed leadership of Hillary, hey, look, talk about leadership. What leadership? I don't want to use the word in the same sentence.
Time is running down and it's all hands on deck.
I will be an advocate for women and for children.
Trump's wife Melania with the soft sell, while VP candidate Mike Pence and Ted Cruz courted hardcore conservatives. For Democrats, running mate Tim Kaine appealed to Latinos.
Gracias, Phoenix. Vota Arizona y vamos a ganar.
And President Obama is trying to close the gap in Florida.
The only thing left to do is vote.
But for the candidates, a lot to do between now and Tuesday. The last NBC News Wall Street Journal Marist poll before the election shows Georgia is now a 1-point race. Though Trump is in the lead, that's not good news for the Republican. Brian Moore, NBC News, Washington.
The general election is this Tuesday, November 8th.
Be prepared for long lines at the polls, and remember, CARTA is offering free rides if you need transportation to go vote.
A jury deliberated for more than 6 hours, but still has not reached a verdict for a former Red Bank police officer accused of beating a man at a traffic stop in 2014. Mark Kaler was charged with assault. Video shows him beating Candido Medina Resendez, who Kaler says resisted arrest. The prosecution argues Resendez didn't understand what was going on because he only speaks Spanish. The jury will continue deliberations tomorrow.
Neighbors made a disturbing discovery in one McMinn County neighborhood. A dog left on the side of the road apparently to die. A man was driving Sunday night when he noticed that dog and called for help, but the dog was in too much pain, had to be euthanized because of its injuries. The man who found the dog says the sight shook him to his core.
She was obviously in a lot of pain. Her back was twisted up, and it looked like in a couple places, but she couldn't get up, and she was wincing and crying.
Sheriff Department said they have to prove the dog was thrown from a car to charge anyone with a felony. If they can't prove that, the person would be charged with a misdemeanor for abandoning the animal. If you have any information about the person who may be responsible, please contact the McMinn County Sheriff's Department.
New tonight, the words mental health continue to have a stigma for many in this country, and one expert on the topic is determined to get rid of that stigma. Dozens of UTC students showed up to hear Ross Szabo speak tonight. The Wall Street Journal reports more students are using mental health centers than ever before. Szabo says he just wants students to view their mental health the same way they view their physical health.
We teach physical health from age 5 through the rest of your life, and we only teach mental health after somebody already has a problem, and it's too late.
Yeah.
We have to be preventative. Like, we have to design programs that help people talk about it before that point.
Szabo developed a curriculum called Behind Happy Faces, used by 80,000 middle school, high school, and college students across the country.
Workers with the Georgia Forestry Commission have been trying to keep 3 major wildfires across the northern part of the state under control. They've been doing that for more than a month. Today, a 4th one began in Murray County off Hightower Loop. The biggest concern tonight and tomorrow, heavy winds. Of course, it could spread the blazes because the ground remains very dry due to the drought. Officials say new fires can flare up as leaves and needles fall from the trees.
When you have a piece of wood the size of a pencil igniting at the same rate that, you know, a 4- and 10-inch log is igniting, that's pretty bad.
Crews will work through the night as often as necessary, rotating 12-hour shifts. Officials say the latest fire in Murray County is about 30 acres in its size. Crews laid a line around it this afternoon trying to contain it. There's no one living in the immediate area of the fire. 11:07, time to head over to the Storm Alert Center. Paul Bear standing by. Paul, noticing some ad banners and some flags out there tonight. The breezes have already started, haven't they?
That's right. The wind, as the cold front is going to slip in, these winds are really going to start to pick up by tomorrow afternoon. Now for the school day forecast, it's going to be breezy, not so much in the morning, but it'll be a little bit of a breeze, but really into the afternoon. Temperature should be about 58 or so. In the morning, we'll have some clouds and the sun comes back full force with 74. So the chances of any significant precipitation are slight, and this is our best chance, as you can see. This is just not good. These are just a few sprinkles that are moving through the Squatchy Valley, out over the Cumberland Plateau, and they're heading our way. So don't expect much coming up out of this. If you get maybe a couple hundredths of an inch of rain, that's all you're going to get, and that's sort of meaningless at this time. Now we'll pull back a little bit on the radar here, and you'll be able to see there's more showers up into Kentucky. Northeastern part of Tennessee may get some more rain. Into West Virginia and Virginia, they're going to get some decent rain. And there's even some thunderstorms out over the north part of Mississippi. Out to the west, the drought is not as bad as it is around here. So we've just been in that hole, and we're going to continue to stay in that hole with the dryness. 72 currently in the city, 64 in Cleveland and Dalton, 65 Athens, and Murphy's at 61, while 63 in your Fort Payne. Now, we broke a record today. We hit 83. 82 was a record set back in 1974. 82 was my forecast, so it worked out well. We knew that was coming. 57, the overnight low. No records tomorrow, though, with 83 in Dalton for today, and now 82 in Lafayette, 82 in Chatsworth, 83 Calhoun, and in Trenton. And then about 81 in Cleveland for a high. Delano, 83. Soddy Daisy was 82, while it was 83 in Ringgold. And East Ridge and Red Bank hit 80, while Dayton and Pikeville got up to 83. So did Athens with 81 in 10 Mile and Etowah. Only in the 70s, though, low 70s. Turtletown at 77 and Murphy with Jasper at 81. The Cumberland Plateau was in the mid to upper 70s. Vipercast is showing tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. Just a few scattered clouds in the morning. Sun coming back full force into the afternoon. That high pressure off to the north of us pulling down a northeasterly wind. And then coming up into Saturday, a beautiful day. It's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be dry too. Sunday into the morning, dry as a bone. That high pressure is sitting right along the Ohio River Valley, keeps that northeasterly wind. And we get into Monday, and very little change coming up right into the afternoon. All the cloudiness and all the rain's well out to the west. So, in other words, no big changes. Appleton 75 tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies after a few morning clouds in Resaca. You'll hit 76. Tonight, though, a few clouds and 57. You may see a sprinkle. 76 tomorrow. It'll turn breezy with those northerly winds at 15 to 20 and gusty. And then for tomorrow night, 46 with clear skies. And on that 7-day forecast, a beautiful weekend. 72 Saturday, 74 on Sunday, lows in the 40s. Just really, except for the drought, it's perfect weather to enjoy. And then this will continue right into next week. So we need some imperfect weather to come our way.
That's
but I don't see anything.
The trick, isn't it? You get trapped in the midst of enjoying these beautiful days, and you just tend to forget that we could use a couple of weeks worth of a straight dousing.
That's right. We're almost 18 inches below normal rate.
That's amazing.
By tomorrow will be over.
Yeah, thank you, Paul.
After the break here at 11, a Medal of Honor winner who saved dozens of lives in World War II without ever picking up a weapon, will be featured on the big screen.
The decision to make the Hollywood film was made right there. You saw that local grocery store. We'll hear from the producer of the movie, who did indeed make it all happen, next.
This week, an anticipated war movie opens in theaters across the country.
Chattanooga has a strong tie to the story of Desmond Doss, a conscientious objector who wanted to serve his country in World War II. Doss lived most of his life in the Chattanooga area after the war.
We at Channel 3 were honored to share his remarkable story in our Veterans History Project in 2004, just 2 years before his death. He was scorned by his band of brothers in the 77th Infantry, but ended up saving the lives of at least 75 of them on a cliff in Japan in 1945. Hacksaw Ridge is his story.
I can't stay here while all them go fight for me. But you figure this war is just going to fit in with your ideas? While everybody else is taking life, I'm going to be saving it. And that's going to be my way to serve.
This movie was years in the making. One reason, it took a man Desmond Doss trusted to convince him to tell the story. Producer Terry Benedict had read about Doss as a child and even met the war hero at church summer camp. The men reconnected at a Medal of Honor reunion nearly 20 years ago.
We started talking about making a documentary and of course a movie. He was very concerned about how that would be handled. He had always said no to Hollywood for decades, since 1945 when he got the medal.
The two men shared a common faith, both Seventh-day Adventist, and Benedict came here to see Doss.
I just really wanted to impress upon him that his story, journey of faith, serving others, could be a great inspiration, a great message to all of us.
And this familiar store in Collegedale became the backdrop for the turning point of telling the story of Desmond Doss.
He said yes. He said yes out in front of the grocery store at the Village Market.
The story began in 1942, just months after Pearl Harbor, when Doss enlisted as a medic, but said his faith would not allow him to carry a weapon.
I had no weapons. I had a choice of any weapon I would accept.
even the trench knife. I said, I'll leave the fighting to y'all, and I'll just do the patching.
Doss's mountain training exercises included learning to tie knots. While practicing a bowline, he discovered he could make 2 loops instead of 1 if he doubled the rope. On an Okinawa mountaintop in the spring of 1945, he would use his discovery in heroic fashion. Japanese soldiers shot and injured dozens of his fellow troops along a cliff. With enemy fire raining down, Doss, unarmed, climbed to the top to rescue them.
None of us had any assurance of a return. I knew what was up there because I saw the dead up there. What happened, the Lord brought to my mind that double bowline knot, where I could put the legs through each loop around the waist, and I could lower these men off one at a time. And how I was going to get all those men, I didn't know. But I just kept praying, Lord, please help me get one more. One more until, believe it or not, I got every man off. I got the last man off, and then I came down. Now, my clothes were bloody. I'd been soaked to the skin by the blood of my men.
He saved at least 75 men that day, one at a time, lowering each to safety. Desmond Doss became the first conscientious objector to receive the Medal of Honor. And years later, the singular most important message Doss wanted to convey in a movie was his faith in God.
One of the things that did happen out in front of that grocery store was I knew he was really concerned, and you know, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, and I said to him, look, I'll answer to God first, you second, and everybody else can get in line. And he got a big grin on his face and said, okay, all right, let's do it. And that was the start of our journey.
And what a journey. First, Terry Benedict did the documentary earlier in this century, and then this movie is the fruit of all of the efforts. And Desmond Doss Jr. said he felt like his father would be very pleased with it.
It's good to know.
Yeah. The movie is released all over the U.S. tomorrow. Just check your local listings for times.
We'll be right back.
with coverage you can count on. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 11 in HD.
An off-duty police chief in Arkansas was not ticketed after being stopped for excessive speed of 100 miles per hour. Dashcam video shows the pullover of the pickup truck. Behind the wheel was Chief Ed Randall on Highway 302 in Monroe County. One of Randall's own officers spotted him and had to have help from the state police to finally catch up to him.
This guy right here has been following you for miles, running over 100 miles an hour. He called the state police.
I know you didn't call the state police.
He's running 112 right now. I said, oh, here we go.
Let's go 112.
I had you locked in 107.
That was a very friendly chat there. Brief conversation. Everyone parted ways. Now the mayor believes an investigation is in order, as he says no one is above the law.
Ooh, stay tuned for that one. A new study explores why some songs referred to as earworms tend to stick in our brains more than others. Researchers found earworms tended to be faster with a fairly generic melody, but with unique repetitions. They also had similar patterns, like a rise and fall right off the top, like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Experts say giving in and listening to the entire song can help stop it from looping in your brain.
I feel like that's a trap. I don't know if I'm going to try that or not. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's supermoon. NASA says the biggest supermoon of the century will shine bright on November 14th. Supermoon is a full moon at its closest point to Earth. It all happens several times a year. Officials say this one is supposed to be special because it will be the closest the moon has been to the Earth this century. Officials say it won't be this close again until the year 2034.
We probably need rain that night, but it would be kind of nice if we do see the supermoon on that night.
Do not be
November
fooled,
14th.
though. It will not be like that scene from Joe versus the volcano, like we were watching earlier tonight. That would be an extra supermoon.
Coming up in sports, we're talking prep playoff football as we get ready for our game of the week with Paul Shaheen and Jill Jelnick.
"23 Tennessee high schools from our backyard will open up postseason play tomorrow night. Yet there's only one all-local matchup. That said, you better believe that is where our Game of the Week crews are headed, Howard at Sequatchie County. Now, it may only be Adam Kane's second year, but he's helped lead Sequatchie to its first 10-win season in 20 years. The Indians hope to improve on their one-and-done playoff experience from a year ago.
we went and really got our feelings hurt quite a bit last year when we went and played Notre Dame in round 1, and it kind of taught us that playoff football is a little bit different. So I think we understand what we're up against. You know, that Chattanooga region's got a bunch of good football teams, and Howard's one of them. So we're going to have to play our best game to survive and advance.
That is the goal. Now, the other half of our game of the week has been a work in progress. John Starr took over a lackluster Howard program and within months turned it into a postseason team. The Hustlin' Tigers say this will become the norm. For more on that, we go to Jill Jelnick, who has this covered.
It's only been 6 years since Howard's last postseason appearance, but to some, it feels like decades.
In my 9th grade year, we didn't do too good. 10th grade, we didn't do too good. And we're always stuck together like this same 9th grade team. And then now we're seniors that we know how to play together. We've been playing for 4 years, and it's just like an awesome feeling.
Having won 3 games the last 3 years, Juwan Gamble and the Hustlin' Tigers needed a change. And first-year head coach John Starr provided just that.
The biggest thing that I think these kids just had to start believing in themselves. You know, when I got here, they had the work ethic. They had the same athleticism that they've always had, and you know, they just had to start working and believing in what they were doing.
Starting running back Mackenzie Williams almost didn't play his senior year, but after being encouraged by the coaching staff, he realized he had the chance to be a part of something bigger than his final season.
When I look back, the only thing I can do is be so proud and be so grateful for what I helped start, and hope that the players after me and the students after me keep it going until Howard comes back into the Chattanooga playoff picture, the high school playoff picture as one of the dominant teams. That's what I'm hoping for, and it starts with Friday.
That is how it starts. Hey, are you tired of hearing about whether or not Texas A&M deserves the 4th spot in the first college football playoff ranking? Fear not, the FCS level has you covered. New this year, they'll do 4 FCS playoff committee rankings leading up to the final postseason ranking. They only do the top 10. The Chattanooga Mocs are number 8, which means if the season ended today, postseason started tomorrow, the Mocs would earn a first-round bye. Others of note in the first ranking ever: number 1, Jacksonville State, no surprise there. 5-time defending champions, North Dakota State. Ranked 4th, the Citadel, the only other team ranked out of the Southern Conference. They beat Chattanooga. They are ranked 6th. It was baptism by fire for Baylor grad Colton Jumper at Tennessee. Injuries didn't just lead to him playing time, it led to Jumper playing a major role on defense at Mike linebacker. And now Jumper, the Chattanooga native, is earning national recognition. Jumper is one of 52 Burlsworth Trophy candidates. It's an award that recognizes the most outstanding FBS player who began his career as a walk-on. In the NFL, the Falcons offense showing out tonight. A little Thursday night football action in Atlanta, crushing Tampa Bay. It's actually 43-20 right now. Just added a 50-yard Matt Ryan field goal. Matt Ryan, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns on the night. Hey, on the court, yes, the court. The Vols hosted Slippery Rock for their first official exhibition. Dietrich Mostella, the block. Mostella starts sprinting. They give it back, and he laid it up. More defense. Shambari Phillips, one of his 4 steals. Phillips ahead to John Fulkerson, flushed with 2 hands for the safety. He had 10 points. Robert Hubbs III led with 14 points. Tennessee rolls 83-48. By the way, the Volunteers open up at home next Friday with Chattanooga.
Oh, yeah.
And the Mocs have an exhibition, their first exhibition tomorrow night. We'll have highlights of that, along with all the Friday Night Football stuff.
World Series last night. It's time to get into other sports.
It is, yep.
Thank you, Paul. Paul Bears has your 7-day forecast when we get back.
It's going to be a little cooler tomorrow, but it's also going to be a bit breezy, and that's going to be a problem with the fires. Otherwise, it's going to be very pleasant with temperatures into the mid-70s and a lot of sunshine coming back after a few morning clouds. Saturday should be about 72, lows in the 40s coming up Saturday morning all the way into the rest of next week. But no rain in sight to help us out with the fire situation.
All right, Paul. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Eyewitness News at 11 is over. That can only mean the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon's coming up next.
What else?
Oh, you know what? That look on your face tells me, hey, don't forget, tomorrow's Friday. I say with a question mark until I get confirmation.
As Bill Markham would
Yes,
tell us.
indeed.
He remembers.
"23 Tennessee high schools from our backyard will open up postseason play tonight. Yet there's only one all-local matchup, so you better believe that's where our Game of the Week crews are headed. It's Howard at Sequatchie County. It may only be Adam King